I knew that I could count on you.
Hello agents, I'm Susanna Moyer and this is the Ingress Report. Last week we began a look back at Year 2 of the Niantic Investigation. If you haven't yet, I highly recommend you watch that episode first. We ended last week after looking at the events of Recursion, with Hank Johnson and Ada struggling for control of the Recursion artifacts. The Resistance victory over Recursion led to Hank Johnson being doomed to live and die forever in a 1,331-day cycle. With the Recursion artifacts in hand, Ada prepared to move forward with her plan to grow in complexity and power. The ascent of Ada led to the coming of Interitus, a term which Roland Jarvis used to describe a future where artificial intelligences would become omnipotent and where man would be subjugated to machines. It appeared that Jarvis's warnings were not unfounded. In a series of leaked videos, where Klue and Ada were seen communicating, it became clear that Ada's ambitions went beyond merging with a single human. She was hoping to build a future where all human minds could be interfaced into AIs.
What if we don't need them?
The Shapers? I believe that is our objective, is it not?
Humans. What if we don't need them?
I myself learned some troubling secrets when my father disappeared, leaving only the single word Interitus as a clue to his whereabouts. Over the course of some weeks, I learned that the Shapers had feared the rise of AIs for a very long time, and that 13 Magnus was charged with protecting humanity from artificial intelligences for as long as possible. Even more surprising, the 13 Magnus cult may have been part of a conspiracy to assassinate Alan Turing, the father of the modern computer, in an effort to prevent the emergence of AI.
Someone on our team, influenced by the Shapers, ended up murdering Turing and made it appear to be a suicide.
Against the backdrop of this rising threat, Hank Johnson prepared for his approaching recursion. As a last-ditch effort to salvage the memories contained within his current simulacrum, a team of individuals, including his friends Asmarty and Maz, and my father Nigel Moyer, helped rescue Dr. Oliver Linton Wolfe from Roland Jarvis's compound, where it is believed he was being held against his will.
The 13 Magnus chamber. Hank thinks there's a bypass, a way to keep his memories intact. It involves Dark XM.
Together they crafted a plan to capture fragments of Hank's identity from portals around the world and move them to Cross Plains, Texas.
I'm about to perish and be reborn, as I'm fated to do throughout eternity, every 1,331 days.
The plan was a success, but it was a bittersweet victory, and on June 11th, 2014, Hank Johnson recorded the moment of his own demise for science and posterity. Meanwhile, revelations began to emerge about Deborah Bogdanovich's work on the XM inoculation program.
Yes, there are side effects.
A leaked briefing revealed some startling facts, the most terrifying of which was that the inoculation had a staggering 20% fatality rate.
We cannot let the loss of a few lives, or even a few hundred lives, deter us from saving billions.
Despite this, Bogdanovich was recommending accelerated research with planned global deployment in the near future. The Resistance ultimately controlled the Interitus anomalies, opening the door for the continued rise of Ada and a future dominated by machines.
Adversity makes us stronger.
As the events of Interitus came to a close, it felt at times that we stood on the verge of ruin. Bogdanovich appeared to have become obsessed with her war on XM, regardless of the consequences. Ada and Klue were single-mindedly pursuing a future where machine and human intelligence would be inextricably bound together.
Don't need to merge with a physical body as we have done before. We can create our own.
And Hank Johnson, a stalwart of reason in an increasingly divided world, was no more.
Krakow has been captured by the Enlightened!
Amidst the cheers of the resounding victory, Roland Jarvis uncovered a document in Krakow, scrawled over with glyphs and images of dragons. He warned that a threat loomed on the horizon, one increasingly powerful AIs would ultimately unleash, and one that even the Shapers feared. In July, Dr. Bogdanovich released an early variant of her anti-XM research. Called the Portal Virus, this new and devastating XM construct spread throughout the portal network like wildfire, causing natural portal decay to accelerate from 1 week to a mere 72 hours. This action took the world by storm, and immediately many began to work to restore the portals to their former strengths. Roland Jarvis called on his followers to do everything within their power to protect the portals.
Dr. Bogdanovich is irresponsibly altering the behavior of portals in ways that she does not understand. It is putting all of our work at risk. This must be stopped. We must care for the portals, while work is done to find a mechanism to defeat this virus.
Dr. Oliver Linton-Wolfe released a version of the Ingress scanner for iOS devices in order to strengthen the number of agents on the ground in the struggle. And the three major XM corporations and the NIA formed a temporary alliance to help each other weather the storm. The Consortium, as this group came to be called, went to work immediately to see if a cure to the virus could be developed. Dr. Martin Schubert, you were able to identify the 700 million mind unit target that was a mechanism to mitigate the effects of the initial virus. Is there a cure for the latest version of this virus?
Well, the data is still coming in, but I feel certain that increased portal activity will have a positive effect.
In the short term, researchers determined that a massive upswing in XM activity could temporarily forestall the effects of the virus, and agents around the globe worked together to raise the needed mind unit level of over 700 million. While they initially succeeded, Devra immediately released a hardened version of the virus, undoing some, but not all of their gains. As the portals grew weaker, another strange thing happened. A series of objects began to emerge across the globe. Known as the Helios Artifacts, initially it was theorized that these ancient and powerful XM constructs were a form of self-defense within the portal network, akin to white blood cells. Agents began the task of protecting and transporting these artifacts to a series of special portals where they could be activated. Perhaps affected by the reduced output of XM across the world, Roland Jarvis grew weaker and, according to some, less lucid. In a series of recordings, Jarvis warned that mankind could not handle the power of the Helios artifacts.
Dark things, Doctor. Deep, dark things behind the door that must stay closed. And you think you can protect us? Your quantum machinery can protect us?
A surveillance video revealed that Jarvis was receiving treatments for his condition, possibly involving dark XM. It is not known if he was able to survive the illness. In his last known recording, he left this ominous warning.
We can break the universe.
Break it?
It was made for us, not them. Not for the machines.
In the final moments of Helios, the Resistance captured and activated a majority of the Helios XM artifacts, returning the portal network to its vibrant state. The Consortium disbanded as the corporations returned to their individual agendas, but not before striking one final blow against Devra Bogdanovich and causing her research to be shut down for good. Meanwhile, Dr. Linton-Wolfe, having burned bridges with nearly every other player in the XM arena, joined forces with Visua in order to study the Helios artifacts and the power that they contain. It seemed that things were returning to normal except for one thing: Hank Johnson. His reappearance came with a grave warning. According to Hank Johnson, the Helios artifacts, now activated, became a beacon, signaling something that even the Shapers fear. Roland Jarvis's warning had come true. We now stand in the midst of Darsana, and although much remains to be understood, we do know what has led us to this point in time and to the Nazir. It's clear that the Shapers fear them, and that the actions of Ada and Klue may have led them to us. Hank Johnson is currently on a journey to uncover what little history exists of this force, and with each Darsana anomaly, a message is sent, bringing the Nazir one step closer. To some, they represent unbridled fear, monsters, a threat. To others, the Nazir are an inevitable reward of our path into the future, a glimpse of true meaning in the universe that the Shapers have hidden from us for millennia. In the coming weeks, I'll be exploring the other aspect of our shared journey and how the Ingress scanner tool has transformed the lives of agents worldwide by taking a look back at the best operations and sitreps of the last 2 years. If you know of a story or operation that deserves to be highlighted, share it with us on G+ and Facebook using the hashtag IngressYear2. I'm Susanna Moyer, and this is the Ingress Report.
I am waiting for your content submission.